And now let's round up today's top stories in the world of science with CTV's science and technology expert, Dan Riskin. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Hey, Dan, great to see you. Okay, here's a curious one that maybe is a little bit concerning here. Scientists can read your thoughts by scanning your brain, but for now it only works if you let them. That's okay, but if people can do it without me letting them, that's a problem.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that inevitably is where the technology is trying to go. But I mean, this is a technology for people. You think of Stephen Hawking, who had so much trouble communicating, and ultimately he had a machine that could measure where his eyeball was moving to help him communicate. If he could just have something scan his brain and spill out the words that he's thinking, it would be so helpful. And that's the technology that's starting to emerge. So a person volunteers, they listen to hundreds of hours of audio tapes or audio books while they're lying in a scanner, so the computer can match what the words are to how the brain lights up. And then they listen to a book where the computer doesn't know what the book says, and the computer tries to guess based on the brain scans what the words are. And what's amazing is it works. The new ingredient here is GPT, the stuff from ChatGPT, which is so good at putting words together. And sometimes it's not just the words themselves, but the meaning behind the words. So you might hear the word dove, and then GPT thinks you're thinking of the word bird, something like that. So it works about 50% of the time, but it only works if the person has been trained, or if the data are trained on that specific person. So they can't just take Nick Dixon and stick him in the scanner and read his mind. He would have to volunteer for lots of hours of training first.
That's what we want to hear. We don't want to read my mind. I can't even read my own mind. Yeah, too much clutter up there, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, interesting stuff. And next up, Dana, do you suffer from something called browser clutter? I do. That's too many tabs and windows, even apps open on my phone. It's a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that a lot of people suffer from. Scientists are just starting to put their finger on it. The way the internet is sort of designed to be browsed is one window at a time. But nobody does that, right? Everybody opens multiple tabs. You might have 3 different windows with 7 to 10 tabs on each of them. That's sort of what people do normally. And this new survey shows that more than half of people feel at least a low level of anxiety about how much clutter they have on their desktop. And for a quarter of people, it's actually quite stressful. And so researchers looked at, how people try to manage this. Some people sort of avoid looking at certain pages. Some people try to just organize the tabs around and move them to different places so they'll be able to find them again. But the researchers say, and this will blow your mind, the best way to avoid this happening is to close windows as you go. So don't leave the tab open. Do what you're doing and then click the little X and make it go away, and then you'll have less clutter. It's a breakthrough, I know, but that's what they're saying people should do.
It's funny because I'm the complete opposite. I liked sort of having sort of almost like a customized browser tab bar available for like a social media bar, like just a Google bar where I can go, and different like time, our time sheets and things like that. I'll have all that there, so I don't have to search around for. I never have to like drop down. It's just there, ready to go. I actually find the clutter. I don't consider it clutter. I consider it convenient. Like it's sort of, it helps actually free my mind without having to think about what do I want to click on and where do I want to go. I don't feel the urgency.
One man's clutter is another man's convenience.
I suppose so. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that supports one of the things they found in the study is that it's people that are multitasking that open the most windows, and that fits exactly with what you just said.
Yeah, I guess, and that's kind of what we do here, right? We go from story to story, thing to thing, and move around and check, what's going on over here, what's going on here. I don't know. It works for me anyway. Fried food doesn't work for anyone. It's bad for your waistline, we know that, Dan. And new research also shows, not unlike browser clutter, it also can make you anxious and depressed.
Yeah, this is interesting. So, I mean, everybody knows that swinging by to get some fried food on the way home from work probably isn't good for your waistline. It's a sometimes food. You can do it once in a while, but don't do it too much. New research showing that there's a chemical in there called acrylamide, which is especially present in fried potatoes, of all things, so French fries. And when you ingest a lot of that, it can lead to increased anxiety and increased depression. And they've got some numbers from the UK that show that people that are really having a lot of fried food, anxiety's up about 12% and depression's up about 7%. So just another incentive to try to choose some fresh vegetables and fruits instead of the fried foods as often as you possibly can.
What about air fry, Dan? Because everyone's got an air fryer now. Can we air fry and not be anxious and depressed?
Right. Well, it's interesting because that acrylamide chemical does come out from the browning process, the thing that heats up food and turns it brown and caramelizes it. And when you bake things in the oven, it tends to go away, but it's fried food where it tends to accumulate. And so I don't know the data on that, but it's quite possible that air fried might be a different story, but that's not what they were looking at in this study.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought I was getting away with
so did I.
With the air fryer.
Yeah. Sounds like maybe we are. We'll get some more research later on, of course.
Well, we need the data,
Dan, it's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Teenagers, and things are weird.
It's very confusing time for us all over here, and it's kind of like you're trying to find a new friend or dating, and you're not really sure how to respond.
Okay, Kat and Nat have amassed a huge following since they first put their stamp on the issues and situations that moms face, the issues that you kind of think but don't talk about or say out loud. Well, now, the dynamic duo, they're back on the road with their show, Unfiltered, live, and we welcome Kat and Nat in our studio, live on CP24 Breakfast, in the flesh, ladies. It's
so
such an honor to meet you.
Oh,
because the last time we did this, it was in a car. You guys, which was fitting because you guys do your, your talks in the car.
Yes, it's our studio.
Viewers. It is your studio.
It's very cheap.
For sure. But let's talk about the Unfiltered live show, because you guys have been doing live shows for a while now, and these are like massive parties where thousands of women come to see you, pop champagne, dance.
You've got it.
So what can they expect at an Unfiltered live show? How's this one different, Nat?
Okay, well, first of all, this one is called Unfiltered because it's like our podcast live. So our podcast is Kat and Nat Unfiltered. And what we wanted to do was take those conversations that we have alone in our studio and bring them to the stage, but then also incorporate like fun and friendship and stories and DJ and dancing and everything that we would have ever wanted. Well, we got one opportunity to go out. What is everything we would pack in a night? And then we just did that.
And then people just keep coming. Like some people are like on their 10th show, their 15th show. Someone just came to a show like, I just booked my next show. So I was like, because they're always different, because we don't have a script. We just go.
Exactly.
And there's always surprise things. So.
Yeah, it's so natural. And, Kat, speaking of being unfiltered and kind of unscripted, when you guys are together in the car, because it's so seamless, if people go on your Instagram and watch the video, I mean, it's quick, it's concise. Is there any post-production? You don't script it. How many takes does that take?
None. Zero.
Like so one take and you're done.
One take and we're done.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, it's shocking, but the gift of having a wild mind that's how we express it, is we're able to just not think we never overthink. We just go.
And the other thing about our live show is sometimes it's hard to explain to people what it is, because people understand stand-up comedy, people understand musicals and theater. This is sort of like a combination of everything, and our team does know like
that you put a musical in there.
I didn't know what else went on stage. We do sing sometimes. And the team, the tech in the back knows what the segments are, but as far as the conversation, it is literally guided by what's going on with us, what we're thinking about, and what we feel the room needs in that evening.
Yeah, we try to include everyone. Like, we're hosting you, so people come alone. Like, we just try to incorporate, we're hosting you for a great night out.
And I love that you guys are kind of shattering the image of what a perfect mom should be, because we all have mom guilt. There's body shaming. There's also like mom shaming, right?
Huge.
So I just want to ask you personally, Nat, if you can go back to when you were pregnant with your first child, what would the Natalie today say to that young Natalie with her firstborn baby?
Oh my gosh, everything you expect it was going to be is nothing like that. You think it's going to be like the perfect pictures and the perfect family and everything is just going to be lovely. It is a total gong show. And that's okay. And you can change your mind as a mom, and you can be disorganized, and you can still have fun, and you can always be a good mom, even if you feel like you're messing up every single day. Don't be too hard on yourself. Ask for help. Have fun. Make time for yourself, and get a bestie.
Yeah.
Get a wife.
You guys really are like sisters, Kat, and you just took Nat's daughter on vacation with you to the Dominican Republic.
Yes, our kids are all best friends, so it works to our favor because it's less pressure when there's more of them.
Right.
And I mean, there's 7 of them, so it's like they always have each other within a group, and you never feel like you need someone to normalize what you're going through, because often when you're doing it alone, it feels so big. And if you say it out loud, it's sometimes scary, but when you're living it out loud, and a lot of people, your situation is not unique, even though it feels that way. You just can't always share it. So we'll share it, and there's no shame in, bumps and mistakes, and your kids are going to mess up. That's part of life.
Yeah, it really is. So I want to know, Mother's Day is coming up. I thought we'd do a little fun thing, and maybe you tell us what's kind of the worst Mother's Day gift you've received. Go, Kat.
The worst Mother's Day gift I think I got some bracelets from a checkout, but my kids probably picked it out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can't
hate it.
You can't hate it.
She showed it to me, and I was like,
I'm not a gift. Like, my love language isn't gifts. So if you don't give me much, because I won't remember it, and it does. I'm like, thank you. Like, I prefer. I like to just go have fun. I like experiences. So
experiences.
Do you have a bad one?
What about you?
I got a whole bunch of workout clothes, and I had no interest in even thinking about working out. And I was like,
remember that one.
what
I
is
love
this
that.
for? This isn't like, I'm not turning over a new leaf this spring.
We did go return it all.
Yeah.
That was a good one, yeah.
That is so funny. And so this morning we also had Sheena Shea, reality star, on our show.
We saw her.
So her and her husband, they do this thing where they French kiss for 1 minute. Do you guys still
Every
French?
day?
I think so. Do you
Every
guys
day.
still French kiss your husbands? Like,
Stop it.
Is that a reality?
Stop it.
Is it
Sorry.
okay to not like French kissing
You
your
wake
husband?
up and French kiss?
I don't know if they wake up right away and do it, but they set a time for it.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, like sometimes I French kiss.
What?
Oh, you do?
Like,
Sorry,
what? Wait, excuse me.
Not like when he walks in the door from work.
Hold on. This is, if you are French
need to
kissing,
talk about this.
you need to tell me this.
I just French kiss, like, you know,
Like
when it's-
Before,
like,
like the time.
during the time.
So like once a year. Understood. Father's Day.
Oh my
and
God.
birthdays. Okay, so this is a thing we're
Yeah,
doing.
it's not Valentine's Day.
I
No,
thought
that's too
you
much.
hated kissing.
No,
this is new information. Are you lying for TV?
no, we have to, because they love to
Right,
kiss.
French kiss.
Always. That's
you
something.
ladies are
I'm
the
sorry.
best. Please tackle this French kissing in marriage issue because I think it's a hot topic. Kat and Nat, you can watch their live show at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre Monday, May 15th. All right, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. Always
Thank
so
you.
fun. Really appreciate you coming in.
I'm Nick Benninger, and I've been an advocate for the farm to fork movement for as long as I've been a chef.
It's back to the basics of farming.
More and more.
Well, Farm to Fork is a new series that takes a look at how food is grown and produced in southwestern Ontario and why more than ever it's important to support especially the local farms that feed us.
So joining us live now for a look at what's on the menu is chef and entrepreneur and host of this new show, Nick Benninger. Nick, welcome to the show. So
Thanks
great
a
to
lot
have
for
you
having
with
me,
us.
yeah.
So this looks like a very exciting new series because I don't think a lot of people understand what goes into actually running a farm and producing these local produce and goods and food. So tell us what you learned and what you think people will learn watching your show.
Yeah, and that's, you kind of nailed it right off the top. I think everybody's familiar with Farm to Fork and that whole concept of buying as local as you can, but they don't always understand the work that goes into it. And I think the same can be said as the restaurant industry, but that story has been told 1,000 times. So on the farming side of things, just the effort that goes into it and the backstories that these folks have, whether they're brand new first generation farmers or fifth or sixth generation farmers, it's incredible. And the hours and the lifestyle they've chose to live is really, not many people would choose it. So we should really hold them to a higher level and celebrate them more, and that's what we're trying to do.
And it's interesting, Nick, you know, you drive along the highways and you see the bumper stickers, you know, farmers feed families or farmers feed our cities, that kind of thing. But people, like you said, don't kind of understand the concept. So why is the timing of this so important that people start to understand not just about how your food gets there, but food from here getting to the table, right? That there's a local ecosystem that can feed us.
Yeah, I think, I mean, from an economical point of view, it's really important that we support the people in our backyards. I think from a culinary point of view, why wouldn't you want the freshest, best food you can get? But from a, like, broadening your experience point of view, you get so much more out of life if you go right to the source of it, right? So when you get to know these folks, and it's why I fell in love with sourcing so directly as a chef, was getting to know the folks that produce and grow and create these things, and then the enriched things that come from it. When you develop these relationships and get to know them better, they'll grow for you. They'll do things specifically for you. They'll become your partner as much as you are theirs. So it just enriches the whole thing. And I think in general in society we're looking for that right now. It's been a rough few years, and it'll be a rough few more years. And you know, I think anywhere you can carve out a little bit more from life is going to make it better. And this is a place that's so easy to do. Just drive to a farm gate and support.
Yeah, so it's cool in this series because you visit 6 different farms in the Waterloo region, which has a very rich history of agriculture, and you're kind of cooking for the farmers on an open fire. What was their reaction when they tasted what you made for them?
Yeah, so first of all, just to touch on that, we're really lucky to be in Waterloo region. We're surrounded by agriculture, and the distance between agriculture and the city there isn't any, and it's an incredibly unique situation in that way. And through the partnerships with Explore Waterloo region, we've been able to do just that. So cooking with the farmers, or sort of behind their back, so to speak, is interesting. I drag with me about 20 cinder blocks and set up a little barbecue right in the field or wherever they'll let me burn the earth, and we get to it. And you know, first they kind of look at that setup and scoff a little bit and wonder what I'm up to, and I think there's a little bit of doubt as to what's going on. And throughout the process, it sort of comes together, and the finished product, I think, surprises them most often than not. And we had some really amazing experiences bringing their family or their farm hands to the table, and just breaking bread, so to speak, and sharing that experience and showing them what happens to their food after it leaves the farm gate. Because I think that's the separation for them, is they work so hard that they don't always get off the field. So being able to do it right on site and celebrate them on the show is just a really unique experience.
And Nick, you've brought a platter here as a sort of charcuterie board, it seems. What have you brought here, and what is this an example of?
Yeah, so this is actually from each farm we went to, not each farm, but several of them. So we have our Mountain Oak Cheese, which is a dairy farm in New Hamburg. Incredible fifth-generation Dutch farmers. They're in their 70s, and in their 60s they decided to take this big leap and open this dairy farm here in Canada.
That's big, yeah.
We have Bison Brazola from Oak Ridge Acres, which is in Ayr. They farm bison, a switch they made when the mad cow crisis started. They switched from Angus cattle to bison, and it's done really, really well from them. So that's a Brazola that we make at the charcuterie bar in St. Jacobs. We have apple chips from Shoe Orchards. So Shoe Orchards grows the apples. Martin's Apple Farm turns them into chips. We also have an apple chutney that we make from those same apples. And far side of the plate there, we've got nuts. So one of the most interesting farmers, Liz, at Jules Beneath the Kilt, who's a nut farmer and nut roaster in Fergus, which is just outside Waterloo Region, but we still gave her a big hug. She makes and roasts all these incredible nuts with her team and her family, and her story is just incredible as well. So it's just an example without trying, and this came together just yesterday when I scoured through the restaurant to pull this up. All of these things are literally made within the boundaries of our region. And this is just something we do in the region naturally. I've always joked that we are unaware of how cool we are in Waterloo Region. We've been doing farm to table for a long time, and it's certainly the cause du jour these days, and it's nice for us to be able to step into that space and say, hey, like, we've been doing this in an authentic, genuine way for a long, long time, and we're really proud of that in Waterloo Region. So
I love your take on this. I'm really looking forward to watching the show, Nick, because I'm all about sort of food and the idea of local food. It's great. It's fantastic. So good luck with it, and maybe we'll get you back here when you get another season. Hopefully.
Right on. I love that.
Nick Benninger joining us live here on CP24 Breakfast. Thanks for the time. Well, one of Canada's most prolific soccer players ever, Janine Beckie, has become one of the most public faces championing the end of the gender pay inequity and is teaming up with an organization that hopes to close that gap. So, Janine, welcome to CP24 Breakfast. Great to have you on the couch this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
This obviously is such an important, I wouldn't say it's a cause, it's a fight, right? And it's a big fight that you're significantly involved with. How is it moving forward now, and what are you doing now to sort of help close that gap and get things on a level playing field?
Well, obviously, this conversation started with Canada Soccer and our ongoing negotiations with them and our men's team, which I can say is going well. The conversations are continuing, and we're both very eager to get to a place where we're both happy. But this Fast and Female campaign was something that I was really excited to be a part of, because it kind of encompasses everything that we've been talking about for not just the past couple of months, but for the women's team at least the last couple of years. And with the recent success of our men's team, it's been a great kind of segue into that pay equity deal. But for Fast and Female, the first WNBA game is coming to Canadian soil this weekend, which in my opinion is long overdue, but super exciting. So Fast and Female kind of champions that conversation. And
Janine, so much of the pay equity sort of calculus, I suppose, is about fans in the stands. The WNBA game is sold out. That's a huge achievement.
It's massive, but I'm not surprised, because what we've seen in recent months and recent years is if you invest in women's sport and give them the opportunity to play in the big stadiums, to sell out games, they will. And what my hope is that we just continue to prove that theory right over the next couple of years, and that this is not the only WNBA game that we see here in Canada, hopefully in the near future.
It seems to me making the case for that investment is getting easier and easier to do right now. Not only is women's sport amazing, the athletes are incredible, right? There's so much potential there. And there's also the other side to it that, you know, investors are looking at this and saying, oh my gosh, I can get an opportunity to get in on the ground floor on something that's only going to go up from here.
Absolutely. I think previously investors would look at women's sport and say, great, but no thank you. And now it's that really exciting piece that everyone wants to be a part of. And my message would be, it's the time. The time is now to get involved. And these campaigns like Fast and Female, the WNBA game, giving those players the opportunity to play in front of Canadian fans. I can speak for myself when I know how amazing that is. And when Canadian fans are given the chance to buy merchandise, invest in teams, buy tickets, just consume the game, they will.
What's it been like, Janine, as a player who's taken up this fight as well? Because, you know, mostly you would say as a player you want your focus to be on the pitch, but you're not only focusing on the pitch, but you're focusing on pitching for everyone else around you here. How difficult is it to sort of find that balance?
We kind of started the real head of this fight earlier this year in February when we were actually in the middle of the She Believes tournament, which was
Orlando,
against 3 of the best teams in the world. So balancing that was definitely difficult for everyone. It was an emotional and physical toll, and we experienced that. Unfortunately, back in March, I suffered a knee injury, so I'm not currently playing right now, which has actually been a huge blessing in disguise because I've been able to really manage my time a lot better and do things like this and really focus on being a part of the conversations with Canada Soccer and our council. And yeah, like I said, being here talking about this because one of my favorite things is to keep this conversation going.
Obviously, you're a soccer player, but the WNBA, you're speaking about that with such pride as well. What do you make of this, that there are, you know, these great leagues now for women's sports to showcase professional women athletes?
I'm a huge fan of sport, not just soccer. I played basketball growing up. It's a fantastic game. I have so much respect for those WNBA players. They are such incredibly talented athletes, and I'm so excited for the Canadian public to get to see those athletes in their own backyard. And that's one of the things that we have to keep pushing is Diana Matheson with Project 8, bringing professional women's soccer to Canada. Now these young kids all over the country get to see their professional women's idols in their backyard, and that's going to just be a little bit of a taste this weekend with the WNBA, and hopefully it continues.
I've been to some of the Canadian women's soccer games, and that obviously it's great to see. And I took my eldest daughter, right, and that's a great message to see that and show that here. And Diane's been here talking about her project as well. I wonder, it's not just the Canadian women's national soccer team that's been pushing for this. You know, the American team had done the same thing. What are the conversations like amongst other players from other countries when it comes to this whole goal of pay equity in sports?
Now that teams like the US, Finland, Australia, have signed these pay equity deals, the reality is others can do it and others should be doing it. So that's a huge encouragement to us. I've read the US agreement. It's incredibly detailed. It's wonderful what those athletes were able to get done and write into their deal. And we've used that as an example for us. So, you know, I play with some of the US women. They're incredibly inspirational, not just as teammates, but as friends, that they've taken the time to make the sport better for those coming after us.
Unified battle, right?
Exactly, and that's our goal.
Janine, Becky, thanks so much for being here on CP24 Breakfast. Good luck with this. Sounds like an amazing sort of program. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
All right, it's a moment video game fanatics have been waiting for. The release of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom on the Nintendo Switch. The day has finally come. And guess what, guys? Joining us now for a tour of the game is a self-proclaimed Zelda fanatic and star of Never Have I Ever on Netflix, Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, joining us once again on CP24 Breakfast. Maitreyi.
Thank you for having me.
Yay, amazing that you're here. So you are a hardcore gamer, and you love this game.
I do.
So talk to us first about why you love this game so much and why everyone will once they play it.
Well, I mean, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is basically like a direct sequel from the amazing game The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And it's a long time coming. People have waited for this game for so many years, and it's a big thing for all Legend of Zelda fans. So the fact that it's now out for the Nintendo Switch is amazing.
Yeah, okay, and this is Link, right?
Yes.
This is the character.
Yes, this is good old Link, who is running around in circles, because why not?
And I understand this game is not so much about like beating bad guys, but it's kind of like puzzle solving. Like they give you a world and you kind of explore it.
Exactly. It's a lot of puzzle solving for sure. And what's cool about Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is that there's so many different ways you can tackle it. So if you're not like someone who like wants to just toss yourself at like monsters,
right?
And you know you want to more use just like your puzzle solving skills, you totally can do that. Like it's all about here. You like pick up stuff like this,
wow,
drag it over, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're not a creator or a crafter in games, this makes it easy too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best like when it comes to like crafting all the time, so I'm very much so like, let's just run in there with the sword. But sometimes this game lets me use my brain, and I think that's educational, some would say.
And what's your favorite game, like out of all the Zeldas?
Probably The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. That one is very. Wow, I was just gonna stay right up. That was like really perfect placement. Probably that, because that's what my brother and I grew up on. And that was definitely one of my first games for sure. But Yeah, that would be definitely one of my faves. And
Okay.
then there's all of them though.
Right.
Let's
And
be real.
if let's say you're just starting out, right, and you're just playing this as a beginner, it's very narrative focused, right? So what's
Yes.
that story about? Because you know how, we saw other video games, they all kind of have a backstory. What's the backstory to Legend of Zelda?
So all the games are kind of more standalone, but what makes this one really cool is that it's pretty much like a sequel to Breath of the Wild, which we don't often see in Legend of Zelda games. They don't tend to be continuations of one another, but this is actually a continuation. So fans get to see what happens right after Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and Maitreyi, tell us, you're so busy, you do all this amazing acting, and we can't wait to see you in the final season of Never Have I Ever. I'm so sad because this is gonna be the last season, and it's your senior year as Devi, and it's kind of like this, I don't want to say three-way, but it is between you, Ben.
Yeah.
But Paxton's still in the picture, and there's a new skater boy.
There is.
Are you guys going to be playing video games at any point in the season?
If they were,
or is it just
that would have been awesome. It's all mind games.
It's all
mind games.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all mind games over there. Yeah, and good old Sherman Oaks, the drama does not stop.
Oh wow.
I don't think Davey would be honestly good at video games. I think she'd get too stressed by it, I think.
But she looks like such a cool girl that'd be down with, trying new things.
She would like a lot of competitive games. If she could destroy people, yeah.
Right.
If it was destroying Ben, then yeah, for sure. I don't think she'd be into the puzzle solving though.
Yeah, so there's a lot of puzzle solving. Okay, can I try some of this? Can you teach me, do I have to have quick hands?
Okay, so you're gonna move with this.
Yeah.
Just you can run around.
Yeah, I'm in a wall. Should I go back to the box?
We already opened the box.
Is there anything in there? Do I turn bigger or no?
No,
okay, I'm just this size? Okay.
Yeah, and now use this to turn the camera.
I'm falling.
It's okay.
Wait, what do you do to turn the camera?
Use
this
this.
one? Okay.
Whoa!
Oh, I like that way. Look at the space. Look at that.
Yeah, see? You're doing great.
Sound effects.
You're doing great.
No,
You're gonna fall off a cliff if you do that.
Okay. How do you jump? Do you press A?
This top button.
X. Can I jump?
You do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Do it.
Oh, did I die? No, I
didn't
didn't.
know you were gonna jump off.
Oh,
but
wow. Okay.
No, you're doing great. Honestly, this is amazing.
Oh my God, this is. I feel like I'm sucking, and you're being.
No.
nice.
This is the thing. It's just practice. It's practice. Here you
so
go.
how do you get back out?
See that ladder?
Yeah. Oh, there is a ladder.
You're gonna go walk right up to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Go up. There you go. Bam. There you go.
wow.
Now you're gonna go up. Yeah. It's just practice.
This is cool. And then these are like little bridges, right? That I go on? Okay.
Yeah.
This is so fun, actually.
You're
gosh.
kind of going backwards. So you might want to go. You might want to go forward now.
Really? Okay.
I'm gonna bring that to you now. But you were doing so great.
Gosh, I need you in order to play this game. Hold on.
You were doing so okay. Now we're gonna
But
take
the ladder was that way.
It's over there still.
Okay.
It's still over
Wow,
there.
can you tell I am not
No,
a
but it's
gamer?
okay.
Can we still be friends, though?
Yes, we still can be friends.
Oh,
it's just
man.
practice.
Okay.
Well,
While
now we're
I'm
crouching.
struggling-
Now we're crouching.
Bill, come help me. Oh,
I
did I
don't know if I
just
can help
exit the
you.
game? They're like, who is this girl?
The graphics on here blow my mind. I was playing
graphics
Legend
are
of Zelda in the turn of the century.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even want to know how old you were at the time. But these graphics are incredible. You keep playing and go forward.